A lot of people think being a pro dancer is all about working with artists, but I just had a client get paid $30,000 for a commercial. Plus, she had an all expenses paid trip to where they were filming. So dancers, stop overlooking commercial work. Today, I'm going to take you behind the scenes of 3 real commercial auditions that I received this morning. We're going to go through pay, the requirements, availability, the usage, and everything else in between. I will not be revealing brand names though, obviously. So up first, this one is a brand, but 2 different shoots. One is going to be a lifestyle print and video shoot, and the other is going to be a studio print and video shoot. However, they do want the same people for both shoots. So while the pay is amazing, we're going to have to take into account the time requirements here. Now, both shoots are in LA, so there's no travel days needed. The studio films for 2 days with an additional fitting day. Lifestyle films for 5 days with an additional fitting day. So in total, that comes out to 9 days. I will also note here, there is an AI clause that the talent must agree to. I know AI is a bit of a controversial topic right now, so definitely something that everybody has to consider. And then they are also going to do a social media background check. Everyone thinks that social media doesn't matter. It really, really does. Okay, now getting into pay. The studio one is going to pay $150 for a 2-hour fitting, $750 per shoot date, and then $8,500 for the usage and exclusivity, plus 20% agency fee. One other note, this is guaranteed. I'll get into this a little bit later, but that's a good thing. Now, I am not very good at math, so I went ahead and I added all this up ahead of time. So for the fitting, 2 shoot dates, and usage and exclusivity, we're looking at $10,150 for the client and $2,030 for me. Now the lifestyle one is also $150 for the 2-hour fitting, but it's only $500 per shoot date and only $4,500 for usage and exclusivity. Again, they do cover the 20% agency fee as well. Okay, so the math on this one is fitting, 5 shoot dates, and usage and exclusivity. So that comes out to $7,150 for the client and $1,430 for me. Okay, so in total, this 9-day commercial pays $17,300 to the client and $3,460 to me. Now let's back up for a second. What even is usage and exclusivity? So starting out with usage is basically them paying you to use your image. Now exclusivity is them paying you to not work for their competitors. So let's say this is for Adidas, which it is not. They are essentially paying you to stay away from competing brands like Nike and Fabletics and Under Armour and all of those other companies. Of course, it depends how long the exclusivity period is. This one just happens to be 1 year. I think what's interesting here, though, is that they're paying both usage and exclusivity together. So even though it might sound like a ton of money, we do have to think about what it is that you're giving up. Once again, this project is not a fitness commercial, but at the end of the day, I represent dancers. So if they give their exclusivity away to Adidas, I literally cannot submit them to any other fitness brand over the next year. That could be career ending. And on top of that, honestly, the numbers are a little bit lower than I would expect for a company of this size. So this project's usage and exclusivity comes out to $13,000. But I literally just had another client get $23,000 for a commercial that she just worked. And then SAG members can get upwards of like $50,000. So long story short, if you are going to agree to exclusivity, I just beg you, please, please, please make sure you know what you're giving up and that you're being appropriately compensated for that. Okay, low key, this is a brand and an industry in general where we don't get a ton of castings anyway. So if we were to book this, I'd probably be okay with exclusivity. But again, in just about any other industry, but especially fitness, this would be a definite no. Also, a lot goes into usage and exclusivity, as I kind of already mentioned. So we do have to look at the brand size and also just the general industry that they're in. Because at the end of the day, this is going to influence it heavily. You know, national brands obviously are going to have a lot more reach and typically have a bigger budget to work with. Plus, if they have a lot of competitors, they're going to have to pay even more. Whereas like a local gym down the street probably is only going to air the assets here locally and have a smaller budget. Now, one thing that I do like about this project is that the usage is guaranteed. I told you we would come back to this. So oftentimes you'll see a commercial where you will get paid the session fee no matter what, but the big usage payment only happens if you make it into the final edit. So theoretically, you could work the commercial and never see that larger paycheck and just walk away with like $500. So anyways, the fact that this one is guaranteed is a big deal. Okay, that was a lot. Let's move on to the next one. All right, this one also films in LA, so no travel is needed. It is only a 2-day requirement. There is 1 rehearsal date and 1 shoot date. Now, obviously, the pay on like a 9-day project is going to be great, but on the agent side, going through my roster and having to find talent with 9 straight days of availability is going to be tough. And because this shoots so soon, I only had about a quarter of my roster that I was able to submit. Whereas this one is only 2 consecutive days, so probably 3/4 of my roster will be available. But getting back into pay is $400 for the rehearsal, $150 for a 3-hour fitting, and it is the same day as the rehearsal, so no extra day. $500 for the shoot and $4,000 for the buyout. This is only usage, not exclusivity, which makes sense why this is so much lower. Now, the reason exclusivity is so high is for all the reasons I just mentioned. It's because it's literally preventing you from making another $10,000 to $30,000 on a competing brand's commercial. So if they want you to do that, they really have to pay you for it. Oh, and then they do also pay the 20% agency fee on this one. Once again, math is hard, so I added up the rehearsal, the fitting, the shoot, and the usage, and it comes out to $5,050 for the client and $1,010 for me. I should probably also mention that this is a dance-specific job. This does not mention the style of dance. They rarely ever do, to be honest, except for in music videos. But I guess if any of my clients get a call back on this one, we'll find out then. That's why it's so important to be cross-trained. But let's do more math. We've got $5,000 for this 2-day shoot, or $17,000 for the 9-day shoot. So if we do math, that's $2,500 per day for this shoot and $1,800 per day for the last shoot. On top of that, one allows you to do whatever projects you want, and the other one is going to prevent you from working any other commercial in that particular industry for the next year. Of course, we would be extremely grateful for either of these bookings, but because they do have overlapping dates, if we got an offer on both of them, the bigger paycheck isn't necessarily worth it if you're a very marketable person in the commercial world. And last but not least, we have another specialty casting. For obvious reasons, I will be submitting on the professional dancer role, but they are also looking for tennis players, hikers, pickleball players, and mountain bikers. Okay, so let's start with the time requirement. There is 1 fitting day and 3 shoot dates, 4 days altogether. Talent also has to agree to this brand using their real name. That's interesting. It looks like pay is the same for all of the roles, whether you're a dancer or any other specialty. So it's $100 for the fitting, $500 per shoot date, and $4,000 usage. Again, no exclusivity on this project. So when I add up the fitting, the 3 shoot dates, and usage, we end up with $5,600 for the client and $1,120 for me. I do like this gig, honestly. Good pay, good brand, no exclusivity. It's dance. Of course, I did submit all of my clients to all 3 of these projects. But again, it's just so extremely important to understand the meaning behind the pay. Honestly, it's really easy to just see dollar signs and then you basically just sign your career away. So understanding the business side of this industry is critical. Okay, so there you have it. 3 different breakdowns and a whole lot of fine print that most people never get to see. If you found this helpful, please let me know in the comments which of these 3 you would have prioritized. I'm curious if it would be the big $17,000 payout with the exclusivity lock, or if you would have gone with the quicker 5K shoots with no strings attached. I'm just curious to see how you guys would weigh the risk and the reward here. Now, I get hundreds of these castings every single week, so if you want me to make this a weekly series where we look at the good, the bad, and everything in between, please hit that subscribe button and leave me a comment. All right, I'll see you next time.